everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast. Start with a quick movie review. I finally got to the theater to see Sonic when it wasn't too crowded, and it was okay, I guess. I feel like I liked the first one more, but I didn't rewatch the first one before seeing the sequel, so I can't really compare them directly. The problem that I had with the sequel is that it starts off and it reintroduces everybody, and then it separates everybody, so they're all in their own separate storylines, and Sonic is not as entertaining to me when he's by himself, or with Tails. He needs to be interacting with the human people, and then it's a little more entertaining. So there's like a whole chunk in the beginning of the movie, like the first half of the movie is like, I was like, ooh, this is not good. Maybe kids will enjoy it and think it's funny. There's like a whole dance battle scene that I think is supposed to be hilarious, and I was just sort of like, okay, I guess. But maybe kids will love it. I don't know. As an adult, But once all the different storylines collide, literally, at the wedding in Hawaii, then everything becomes way more entertaining. It's a little worrisome that two of the human characters have a little side scene that's more hilarious than anything Sonic does in the film, but whatever. The action is fun, and then it just keeps going, and then Jim Carrey is very funny. He's the only one that can really carry a scene by himself, I think. Sonic, not so much. There's a bunch of video game references. I saw a bunch myself, so I'm sure there's more, because I'm not that big of a Sonic fan. As longtime viewers of these know, I'm not a big platformer, so not a big Sonic fan, but it's fine. And then of course it ends with setup for another sequel. So I'm assuming this one's doing pretty well, I think, so I'm assuming we'll get a third one. Hopefully they can kind of get the formula right that time. As for games, I kind of thought that I would be doing this episode and I'd be in the middle of the end game of Horizon Forbidden West. But I actually finished it. I thought that the end game would be as long, the final mission would be as long as that other main story mission that like took me like 3 days to complete, because there were like so many different sections to it and so many things to do, and it just kept going, and you think you're done, and then it's like, go back to the base, and it's like, okay, and it's like, but no, now here's another thing that you need to do before you finish this mission. I was like, this one was pretty straightforward. Just, you know, gather your people, assault on the base, and off you go. But, I mean, I still played this game for over 100 hours. I think it was 108 when I checked my final save file after I completed the game. So there was plenty to do, aside from a streamlined final mission. Because before, it's like, you go to where you're supposed to gather your allies, and Aloy's like, is there anything I should do first? And I'm like, okay. That wasn't the actual point of no return, but it was the point where I was like, let me just like try to do other things before I actually do the end game. Because I want to level up as much as possible, but I'd already leveled up to 50, which is as high as it goes, so that wasn't a thing anymore. At this point, it just became, are there like some trophies that I can get? Because like I collected all the black boxes and I turned them in, and there was no trophy. And I also collected all the drones and put them in the computer, and there was no trophy. And I was like, what the hey? I'm collecting these things that you put out into the world. I've collected all of them. Where's my trophy? So I actually just went online and looked at a trophy list to see what I could get. Because there's a whole bunch of trophies on there that I'm never going to get because they're not for me. Like, you know, playing the Machine Strike minigame, that's never going to happen. Doing the Gauntlet Run races, that's not going to happen. They sucked. Fighting pits, I'm not into. I did find the machine part they needed to open the arena, thinking maybe I could get that trophy, but you get a trophy after finishing the first round at the arena, but that turned out to be kind of annoying too, because it's just fighting machines, but while the first three parts of the round are fighting machines with the weapons and armor that you have, the final battle, they give you armor and weapons that you have to use against the boss machine. And they gave me this, you know, you had to fight a Slitherfang, and they gave me this armor that was weak against the Slitherfang's say that 10 times fast, are acid attacks, and I was like, you deliberately give me armor that sucks against this particular machine. Then you give me weapons, only some of which are useful against the machine. Plus, they're not my fully upgraded weapons and armor, so they suck. And they were also weapons that I don't like and don't use, so I'm not good at. Like, you know, I use my bows and arrows, and I use my spears, and that is it. They were giving me the machine gun thing that I hate, because it's too slow and bulky, and, like, the tripcasters, and I'm like, it's a frickin' slither fang, when am I supposed to find time to set traps? But, so I died a few times, and then said, yeah, this is another trophy I'm not getting. So I looked through, and there was like one more that I could get easily, which was gliding for 60 seconds. So I just I flew up real high and tried gliding, and that wasn't enough, so I flew up even higher to the top of a mountain, and then glided down the slope of the mountain. That got me the trophy. Then I did the end game, which, as I said, was surprisingly streamlined. I mean, there were no, like, save points during, like, you know, like, you just do it. And, you know, it's like fight a bunch of machines, fight a boss, fight the big boss, and you're done. And as you might remember from the previous episode, when I reached a certain point in the middle of the game, I kind of complained a little about a sci-fi element that they had introduced to the plot in this sequel. I rather like the, you know, post-apocalyptic primitive world based on old technology that they've created. So when they added this new element to the story, which is like, you know, more of a futuristic hard sci-fi kind of thing, it felt kind of out of place. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. And then, of course, as you progress through the story and reach the end, it doubles down on that, and it becomes, you know, the main thing, and you're like... And I don't know what the story would have been if they didn't introduce that element and they stayed in the primitive world, and it was... You know, I'm trying not to spoil, so it's awkward. Like, I don't know what the plot of the game would have been. It might have been too much of the same thing, and then I would have said, oh, this was boring because it was just more of the same. But I don't know, because I like it, so I wouldn't mind having more of the same. Clearly, it sets up the next game, and that's going to be very much still going with this futuristic sci-fi stuff, so we'll see what happens when the next game comes out. Obviously, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to love it. I mean, I played this for over 100 hours, so it's a great series, great game. I know everybody was playing Elden Ring instead of this, but when you finish Elden Ring, maybe go try Horizon Forbidden West, because it's super awesome. And then there's the question of what to play next. I know I said that I was going to play Moss Book 2, break out my PSVR again, but then, like last week, I saw a trailer on Twitter, and I was like, oh, what's that? And I watched it, and I was like, oh, this looks right up my alley. And it's called Lake. It apparently came out on PC and Xbox like last year, and now it's being released on PlayStation 4 and 5, and it's like you're this woman, it's set in the 80s score, and you're a woman who returns to her hometown lake community where she fills in as the mailman, and you meet people and you interact with them and you have stories, and it's this lovely relaxing drama. And I'm just like, oh, that sounds right up my alley. And so I googled a game and I looked it up, and I was like, yes, this is totally up my alley. And then the reviews were good, and they're like, somebody compared it to, they're like, if you like Animal Crossing type games, this is gonna be great. And I was like, yes, please. So I've already bought it, I haven't started it yet. It's all installed and ready to go. So you can come back next episode and I'll tell you what I thought of it, because I think it's pretty short. One of the reviews said it only takes a few hours to play through, so I will definitely have finished it by the next episode, and I'll tell you what I think of it. I might have to play it a few times, which I don't normally do, but if it's that short, maybe I can, you know, get away with it, because, you know, make different choices and stuff, because I want to make sure I get my $20 worth, you know. That's the problem with these indie games. Sometimes you feel like you're spending too much for too little, but it sounds really cool, and I want to check it out, so come back next episode and see what I thought. Bye-bye!